Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today we are going to be talking about the next mastery in our Weapon Mastery Review and List. We are going to be talking about Nick. We did talk about Grays earlier, but now we're going to be talking about Nick. We're going to be going over all the things about Nick, what it can do. It's very complicated, so we are going to be going through a lot of mechanics with this one. We're going to be talking what feats are good with this, what weapon fighting styles are good with this, and what different classes are good with this. And of course, we're going to be giving it a grade. So lots to talk about, lots to do. Don't go anywhere and stay tuned. All right, before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. Don't forget to share this video, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. And I also want to point out the 2 adventures that I've got written, great adventures. You can find these in the Dungeon Masters Guild. We've got my first adventure that I wrote, Vault of the Worm, Tensions in Baldur's Gate. It is made for 3rd level characters. And The Painted Rock, A Quest to Prove Yourself, by me, of course, Dr. Urias E. Papers, and that one was optimized for 4th level characters. Check them out. Links are below in the video for Dungeon Masters Guild. They're there. I would appreciate just taking a look. All right, here is the Nick ability. So I'm going to read it really quickly, but then we're going to switch over because there's some mechanics buried into this that you have to know about before you can actually understand this particular weapon mastery. We're going to grade it too. So when you make the extra attack of the light property, and the next thing we're going to talk about, of course, is the light property, you can make it as part of the attack action instead of as a bonus action. You can make this extra attack only once per turn. Per turn, not per round, per turn. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's bring our arrow out, and we're going to go ahead and give Nick, we're going to give this one a B+. Essentially, the base of this is it's going to be giving us an extra attack as part of our attack action, and it is essentially layered on top of the light property. So let's get rid of the arrow here, and we're going to talk about the light property itself, and let's get rid of the rating as well. And there's that go. So let's go over to the light property. Here it is right here. So because you can't use Nick unless you have a weapon with the light property. So the light property says when you take the attack action, and this is a weapon property, so this is something that is tied to weapons, certain weapons. So when you take the attack action on your turn, so that's really important. It's not a bonus action. It's not an attack. It is the attack action. So when you take the attack action on your turn, so it has to be on, because you can't take an attack action not on your turn. You can take an attack, but not the attack action. So when you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon, because it's got to be light, that's what we're talking about, you can make 1 extra attack as a bonus action later on the same turn. So if I've got a weapon, a dagger, in my right hand, then I attack with it with the attack action on my turn, then that is the trigger. So that extra, and I could make 1 extra attack as a bonus action later on. The attack, extra attack, not the attack action, but the extra attack with the that was triggered by the weapon in my right hand. The extra attack must be made with a different light weapon, and if I'm holding something in my left hand, that's a different weapon, and you don't add your ability modifier to the extra attack's damage unless that modifier is negative. So you can only be penalized by it. So that means if I don't add my dex or my strength to it. So I make my primary attack action with 1 hand. I happen to have a weapon in another hand. This attack action triggers the light property, which allows me to use my bonus action to make an attack with the other one without any modifier. So it says, for example, you can attack with a short sword in one hand and a dagger in the other using the attack action and a bonus action. So right hand would be the short sword, left hand, because I'm right-handed. Right-handed would be the attack action and the short sword, which triggers the light property. Then I make the attack with the dagger in the left hand as a bonus action, and then I don't add anything. Okay, so that's light. That is the light property. Now, how, again, does that interact with Nick, the weapon mastery? So here it is. When you make the attack action of the light property, so remember, I attacked with my right hand. I had a short sword in my right hand, okay? And that triggered the light property, which normally would allow me to make an attack with my left hand. And that was the dagger on as part of my bonus action. Now I can make that as part of the attack action instead of as a bonus action. I can only do it once per turn. So I go attack action, short sword in the right hand, and this dagger is light and it has the nick property. So now I can make an extra attack as part of the attack action, and I still have my bonus action. So it just shifts around where that attack happens, but it opens up so many different things because there are so many classes that could use this that are going to utilize their bonus actions for a lot of different stuff. You only get one bonus action, so there is a lot of action economy management in 5th edition and 2024 Dungeons & Dragons, and this Nick property frees up some of that action economy management that you have to do. So those are two things that are tied together, light and Nick. So let's take a look at some of the weapons here that do have the Nick property. So here we have the dagger, and the dagger is finesse, which means I can use strength or dex. It's light, and I can throw it, and it's got the Nick property. So I could have a dagger in each hand, attack action, and then that triggers, and I have another dagger in the left hand. So right hand, attack action, and then the light property triggers me to do an extra attack, but Nick says I can use that as part of the attack action so that I can immediately go left hand dagger. Okay, so we've got dagger. We've got light hammer, not hand axe. Hand axe has vex. We have light hammer, which is light and thrown and has the Nick property. So I could do that, a dagger and a light hammer or two light hammers or whatever you want. Then we've got the sickle, and these all do a D4. So one of them does a D4 piercing, one of them does a D4 bludgeoning, and then the sickle does a D4 slashing. The sickle is only light, and it's Nick. So it's not finesse, which means we're going to have to use our strength for that. So you have to pay attention to that. So, and there are ways around that. And then if we keep going down, so that one has Nick, and if we keep going down the list, we've got the scimitar is the next one. That's a martial weapon. It's not a simple weapon, so you have to be careful with that, but it's a martial weapon, and it has both the finesse and the light properties. It does a d6 in damage, and it's got Nick. So I could have a scimitar and a dagger. I could have two scimitars. Because it's a light property, I can do that. Okay, so those are the weapons that we can use with this. Now, what kind of feats should we be talking about here? Well, one of these feats we're talking about is dual wielder. So it is a general feat. So you can't take it until your 4th level. You have to have a strength or dex of 13. It gives you a buff to either your strength or your dex of 1. A bump of 1 to a maximum of 20. Then it has this thing called Enhance Dual Wielding. When you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a weapon that has the light property, you can make one extra attack as a bonus action later on the same turn with a different weapon, which must be a melee weapon that lacks the two-handed property. You don't add your modifiers. Two-handed. So remember when I said that the light property, we have to use a light weapon, another light weapon. This takes that away, okay? That one takes that away. But it has a different kind of interaction with the Nick property, which we're going to talk about. And then there's quick draw. You can draw or stow 2 weapons Normally you can only draw or stow one weapon. Now you can do two that lack the two-handed property when you would normally be able to draw or stow only one. And that can be important. We're not going to really get into the switching up weapons and all that, but you can switch up weapons pretty easily with this. This kind of allows you to start going the path of being able to use a shield as a weapon. But we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Now, we also have a fighting style that goes along with this. And the prerequisite for these is a fighting style feature. You have to have this feature as part of your class. So fighters get this, and rangers get this, and barbarians get this, and paladins get this. And we'll take a look. So when you make an extra attack as a result of using a weapon that has the light property, so again, it's got to be the light property, and it doesn't say, it's basically whenever you make an extra attack. So that's important. That's really important to understand. When you make an extra attack with a weapon that has the light property, so if you make 1 or 2 or 3, this applies to all of those if they're extra attacks. And that's important. That word extra is very important. So when you make an extra attack as a result of using a weapon that has the light property, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of that attack if you are not already adding to the damage. Okay, so that means if you put this on top of that, remember, if you just have 2 weapons in your hand and they're light weapons, and you don't have anything else, let's say it's hand axes, so you do the attack action with your right hand. That triggers the light property, which allows you to make an extra attack as a bonus action, because if we look at light, we look at the light property. So you can make one extra, and that's why I emphasize that word extra. You can make one extra attack as a bonus action later on the same turn. Because it's an extra attack, 2-weapon fighting kicks in if you have it, and that one allows you to use your modifiers to change the damage. So if you had, if it was a light finesse weapon, which is a dagger, so let's say we had a dagger in each hand, we did the attack action with the right hand, dagger. That triggers the light property, and then we can make an attack with the other hand with a light weapon, and that one also gets our bonus to damage. Let's say we had an 18 dex, that would be an extra +4 to damage. So primary gets +4 to damage, and then this extra attack now gets +4 to damage. And then if you combine that with Nick, then it's all part of the same attack action. So that is a thing. Now, what kinds of classes do we think go good with this? Well, obviously fighter. The fighter gets, if you look here, they get a fighting style. You've honed your martial prowess and gain a fighting style of your choice. So you could take that 2-weapon fighting. And then whenever you gain a fighter level, you can replace it. And then also you get weapon mastery. So your training with weapons allows you to use the mastery properties of 3 different kinds of simple or martial weapons. And one of those could be Nick. So that is a massive reason why you would want to do this. And then, the fighter also gets action surge, which allows you to take an additional action, except the magic actions. You can take another attack action. And then rogues come to mind too. Now, the rogue doesn't get a fighting style, but they get sneak attack, and they do get weapon masteries. So they get the use of 2 kinds of weapons of choice, so that they can use, such as daggers or short bows. So you could take the Nick property, and if you look at the weapons that they can use up here, they can use simple weapons and martial weapons that have the finesse or light property, which, again, if we look over here, the scimitar is finesse and light, so we could use that. The rapier is not a Nick weapon, it is a Vex weapon, and it's only finesse. And I can't believe that one is not light. The scimitar is light, but the rapier is not light. Short swords are also finesse and light, but they're not Nick. They're only Vex, which means that if you have a short sword in the other hand, that is the offhand, then that would, with Nick, then that would be a bonus action to use that one instead of with it. So, having 2 scimitars is pretty cool. You can be the whirling dervish. Now, just to go through this, I have a little graphic here that talks about the different scenarios we got, because I said this was pretty complicated. So we're going to go over this really quickly. All right, so we're going to assume we're starting with a 4th level fighter here. And this 4th level fighter is using weapons that have the light weapon property. And let's forget that they have the 2 weapon fighting style. So you're wielding a light weapon in your right hand, which we're going to say is a hand axe. So let's take a look at hand axe here in the list. It's up here. It's a simple weapon. So hand axes are light and thrown with Vex. So they don't have the Nick property because we're not there yet. We're just talking about light weapons and the light weapon property. So in your right hand, you've got a hand axe. And in your left hand, you've got another hand axe, okay? So second thing that happens, attack action with your right hand with the hand axe. And it has the light property. So it triggers number 3. The light property, the light weapon property that was in your right hand that you attacked with triggers, allowing you to attack with the light weapon in your left hand, the other hand axe, as a bonus action. So you go attack, action, attack. It's 4th level fighter, so it's only 1 attack. Attack, action, attack. And then light property says you use your bonus action to attack again. No strength or dex because we're not talking 2-weapon fighting. Okay. Second scenario, we've got a light weapon property with the Nick weapon mastery. Okay. So we are wielding a dagger, which is light with Nick, light weapon property, and has the Nick weapon mastery, and we can use it. We're a 4th level fighter. So we've got a dagger in our right hand, and we've got a dagger in our left hand. We make the attack action with the dagger in our right hand, because I'm right-handed, so that's why we're doing that. And then number 3, the light weapon property and the Nick weapon mastery both trigger because I did the attack action, allowing an attack with the light weapon, the dagger, in my left hand as part of the attack action. No strength or dex mod because we're not doing a fighting style. And then you still have your bonus action. So if you were, say, maybe you had levels in Monk or you had levels in Rogue, there are a bunch of different things that those 2 classes can do with bonus actions that you're free to do now. Like the Monk could do Flurry of Blows. Or the Thief could do, that's just an example of one of the things the Monk has a whole list of stuff they do with bonus actions. And then the Thief could do a disengage. They could do a hide, all kinds of different, they have a bunch of different things they can do with a bonus action as well. But this kind of frees up the bonus action economy management. Okay, last scenario. We've got a light weapon, which again is a dagger, with the Nick property, because the dagger is light property with the Nick weapon mastery. We're a 4th level fighter, so we can use that. And we have the dual wielder general feat that we took, okay? So we're wielding a light weapon, a dagger, in our right hand, and a dagger, which is light, with the Nick property in our left hand. We attack. We do the attack action with the weapon in our right hand. It's got the light property and the Nick. That triggers, number 3, that triggers the weapon that we have in our left hand, the other dagger, to allow us to attack as part of the attack action. And because we don't have that fighting style, we are not going to add our dex or our mod. Now, we still have our bonus action. And because we did an attack action with our right hand, that also triggers the dual wielder, enhanced dual wielding, allowing us to make an attack with a weapon that does not have the 2-handed weapon property, that is not in our right hand. It has to be different. That's that dagger in our left hand as a bonus action. So we do attack, Nick attack, and then dual wielder attack. Because this has to be, the Nick attack has to be different than the primary hand, and the dual wielder has to be different than the primary hand. So attack, and then Nick attack as part of the attack action, and then we go bonus action, extra attack from dual wielder. So 1, 2, 3. And then that just goes, now that's a bonus action to do that. So that means that that bonus action is now gone. So you can see how complicated this gets, and you can see how you can just start stacking up more attacks. Now, we're a 4th level fighter, which also means that we can use action surge to do another action. However, these attacks can only happen once per turn because they're all connected to the light weapon property. So the dual wielder enhanced attack, I don't believe that one says, let's take a look here. Let's get rid of this. That says when you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a weapon that has the light property. Now, it's not the attack of the light property. It is just, it is with a weapon that has it. You can make one extra attack as a bonus action later in the same turn. So it's a bonus action. So what that means is that if you were to use action surge, that's an extra action. It's not a bonus action. It doesn't allow you to do another bonus action. So you're still stuck. So if we were a fighter with action surge, we would go attack action with the dagger, which has light and nick. Then that would trigger the nick attack on the same attack action. That's 2 attacks, which would then also trigger dual wielder to be able to use a bonus action to attack with the left hand later on in the turn. So, but we decide to use action surge to do an extra action, so we do an extra attack. So we go attack action 1, nick attack 2, action surge action, attack action 3, bonus action attack 4. So we got 4 attacks in there. And if we had the 2-weapon fighting style, every time we make an extra attack, and dual wielder is an extra attack, and nick is an extra attack, we would add our modifiers onto it. And in this case, we could choose strength or dex. And then the primary attacks that we did also would use, because those are primary attacks. All right, hopefully this helps. Hopefully you kind of understand this more. I like this particular weapon mastery a lot. It works pretty good. It essentially allows you an extra attack and allows a lot of really good bonus action management. So I hope you like this video, and I will catch everybody